Are you going to the ThunderDome, Brian?
I'm certainly not going to the ThunderDome. I am rather curious if it'll be a good event or thunder crap. We'll see what happens.
No, I mean, all the publicity, I see what they're trying to do, and I'm not going to shit on it because I haven't seen it. And honestly, it'll probably be very impressive visually. But I see what they're trying to do since they can't have people in the building, make the building itself, kind of an attraction, something to look for or to watch or whatever. And the WWE, they have not only the budget, but also just such talented production people, and they can hire whoever they want. And I'm sure that somebody in the studio, possibly even old Bucky Beaver himself, has really sunk their teeth into this idea, so to speak, to make a big deal out of it, because they want, obviously, the people that work at the studio are concerned more than anything with the look of the television program and of the broadcasts and everything. So if they can do something like this, and now they've had this idea in the past, but they could never get the money. Nobody would free the money up because they're very, what the fuck? We're doing okay. We don't need to spend all this money. This is not something, that's why they're doing a residency at the Amway Center. This is not something that they can load in and load out for a couple of days worth of tapings. This is a big fucking undertaking. So they may have had this in their back pocket for a while, and now's the time to do it because we've got to save the ratings. We got to, give people something to tune in for in the empty arena era. We've got to, get talk, publicity, whatever. It's going to look great. Their shit always does. As I said, they're professional and they got the money. The question is, what's it going to look like if this thing looks like the coolest goddamn thing since fucking cool things were invented, but they still, creatively with the wrestling are doing goofy shit. If you send goofy half-ass looking shit out in a huge, expensive environment, does it look worse is what I'm trying to say. Does it look even hokier? And is it good in the long run to build, in the long run after the virus, when people eventually are back in the buildings, etc., to build the atmosphere at the expense of the actual product you're selling, which is the wrestling? You may not be interested in our wrestlers or our matches, but boy, it's in a cool fucking building. Is that good or not? It'll be something that people, if they continue to do it when people are back in the buildings, it'd be something people want to go and sit in that, like you want to go to the planetarium, eat a fucking brownie, whatever, right? But does it make the product any better?
But that's the problem. Everyone knows that WWE's product right now is creatively bankrupt. It's a bad product. Unfortunately, it's a bad product in the middle of the pandemic, so it's even worse because there's no fans there. And they're not even addressing that. It's more like, hey, we got a new gimmick. We got a new building we're going to be in with this gimmick. As opposed to, we need to change things up and get Vince the fuck away from creative as fast as we can. No, it's going to still be the same idiots running the same idiot show, except now it's going to be glammed up.
Glammed up. You have completely become me, and I'm just over here laughing and trying to at least give them the opportunity to shit the bed before I ask, who pooped the bed?
What can we do to get people interested again? How about we have some really good creative and we give people a chance to get over? No, something else. How about we get a building like the Amway Center, because we should certainly be aligned with Amway at this point in time.
Or the governor of Florida. Yeah. Even worse than Amway at this point.
It's just, I don't know. I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll see it, and it'll be really, really cool, or it'll just be like, wow, for about 10 seconds, and then it's the same awful content, just in this giant studio, for lack of a better term.
Well, here's the thing. It'll be an awesome atmosphere for awesome matches. If you've got top guys in there having main event matches, blah, 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 then yes, the atmosphere is going to be better than just them doing it in the empty building. But is it almost, some of these matches look better in an empty building than they may look in a fucking really fucking high class, goddamn expensive building, because then you're thinking, well, all these bells and whistles for fucking Robert Stone versus goddamn, Putz McGee. I don't fucking know.
Putz McGee.
Putz McGee. It could be the way they're going with names in NXT, Putz McGee is only 6 months away. And I said, maybe this is going to be a destination type of thing. They get it over. So when the crowds are allowed back in the buildings, people want to come and buy a ticket to sit in this. But then here's the thing. Are they still going to do residencies? Because I just realized that after I said it, you can't tour this thing for one nights. You can't just, okay, we're going to do the taping Monday. We're going to be in Pittsburgh. Come sit in the Thunderdome. It's going to take days to set this up, and it won't be worth it for fucking one day in Pittsburgh. So are they still going to do residencies, or are they going to drop the Thunderdome? When they drop the Thunderdome, then the regular buildings, even if they got people in them, are going to look kind of bland. So are they going to try to gimmick up the fucking buildings with the people in them? They've already been doing that for years with the LED boards and the fucking lighting and etc. How much more can they do? Well, they can get more complicated. Then they can't set it up in the same day. They're setting a strange precedent here. They're not going to be able to follow something. At some point, they're doing something here they're not going to be able to follow.
Based on how much money they made so far during the pandemic, and a lot of that comes directly from the idea they're not touring. They're not going, forget about house shows.
Yeah, their profits were way up because they didn't have to pay all those building rents and all those fucking load in and load out costs.
Right. Maybe this is the future. Residencies.
But
it won't be in the New York tri-state area because of the union cost. I'll tell you that.
Well, besides that, they were having trouble putting half or two-thirds of a fucking building together for the tapings where they were in the town one night. If they're in the town fucking 7 days in a row, and then 14 days and however. They're in the Amway Center for what they said, 2 months, right? They're obviously not going to tape every night. But you amortize the production costs for such an expensive proposition over the amount of days that you do it, and that's the way it's afforded. When Ring of Honor was working the what was the upstairs building, Manhattan Center, over the Hammerstein Ballroom in New York, right? The small building where Raw started.
Yeah. One
of the reasons why we had to change one of our dates at one point was because, God damn it, it was not America's Got Talent. I think it may have been, what was the first singing show? American Idol.
Yeah.
American Idol was going to be there for a period of several weeks. And they had they had loaded in all their equipment in the Hammerstein, and they had the freight elevators tied up. So there was no way to get the ring 7 floors up to the Manhattan Center for that 1,500 seat building up there because the elevators were schmozzed up with the American Idol shit. That's the way that they operate those big network shows. They load that shit in. They get it the way they want it, and they leave it. They rent the building for a period of at least a few weeks. So point is, I don't know. How do you back up from this? Once you've dropped the cow, what's left? And they're still not addressing the fact that most of these guys look the same, do the same shit, are told to talk the same, act the same, and have same matches with same kind of finishes mostly over and over. And very few people stand out because not only of the bad creative and lack of letting people do things for themselves and the insistence on this fucking contrived, stagey, memorized bullshit, but also because a lot of these guys look like each other and talk like each other and act like each other and don't have any distinct personalities. So to gimmick up the building is going to look impressive as fuck, and they will certainly do it right because they're a big-time company. But are we polishing a turd?
Yes.
Oh, no.
I'll answer that in advance, yes.
Oh, yes.
I'm surprised they haven't done or tried to do what Fox has done with baseball, and I'm not saying I approve of this, but the Mets had a game on Fox. It's always awful when your team has a game on Fox or ESPN, because then you get their announcers, their commentators, and typically they're awful. You want your own guys who you're with for the entire season. And they had the Fox game, and the other thing Fox did was they superimposed CGI fans in the stands. So when you'd see a home run and you get the wide shot of the building, you see a stadium packed with fans. And then, they go to the close-up and everyone's gone. But I'm surprised WWE hasn't done that, because you could sweeten the noise. You could sweeten the crowd noise.
Well, but wait a minute. I thought this is part of it, right? Because a little bird of mine gave me the list of the terms and conditions of participation in the Thunderdome.
Oh,
yes. And somewhere, I not only do I have no idea how this shit works, but I'm not interested enough to find out. But some way or another, they are picking people, or people are applying, and they're picking the ones they want to be somehow on the screen or in the audience or whatever the fuck is part of the Thunderdome. So this is going to be kind of all fucking smoke and mirrors and all fucked up, right?
Yeah, and I was talking about fake fans, not real people sitting at home.
No, they're going to put real people at home in. Listen to some of this, right? This is the terms and conditions. If you've been selected to, this is hugely long. This is like a contract. I'm not going to read the whole goddamn thing, but you've been selected to participate in the 2020 World Wrestling Entertainment, hereinafter known as WWE ThunderDome Fan Program. You agree you're over 18 years of age, comply with the following terms and conditions, which are now the next fucking 17,000 words. Every fan is expected to participate and appear on his or her screen throughout the duration of the event. Any extended absence from the screen may result in his or her WWE ThunderDome seat being reassigned. So they're going to take you off and put somebody else in your place of where you weren't even at really to begin with.
Well, there goes the bathroom break.
I was about to say, don't eat dinner beforehand, because you might be able to get away with a piss, but it sounds like a shit will get you dropped. We reserve the right to not allow you to participate or immediately terminate your participation for no reason or for any reason at our sole discretion, including but not limited to if your behavior is inappropriate or violates any of these terms listed below. Okay, wait a minute. Terms. The custom link you have been provided is specific to you, may not share, forward, or otherwise disclose the link to it. So it's a non-disclosure link. I've had experience with those.
Oh, someone get us a link so we can get it to you. So you, all of a sudden, in the middle of Raw, there's you.
We got to see how this is going to work. Anyway, no one other than you will be permitted to appear or participate. No unauthorized people. You must provide your own device and other necessary equipment. What is the device? Does everybody in their home have a Thunderdome device? Oh, I just got my device from the device store that allows me to be in the Thunderdome.
Device could be computer. It could be iPad. It could be, I'm assuming it could be cell phone. It could be your smartphone. And that camera would be what you have to stare at for the duration of the program, I think, based on what you're saying here.
All right, well, the WWE is not responsible for any loss of or damage to devices or equipment caused by your use of any of the software or other platforms utilized as part of the what have they got this shit from China and it's going to be virus ridden? We urge you to limit your internet capabilities to solely the device used for participating in the Thunderdome. No one in your household should be using your internet connection for other streaming purposes like Twitch, Netflix, YouTube. So basically, just tell fucking grandma and grandpa if they're just fucking read a book. They can terminate you if the audio or video connection is unclear or unstable. Your behavior while participating in the Thunderdome must be and must appear to be appropriate and respectful at all times.
So no fucking.
Appropriate for a family-friendly, all-age television audience at all times. Okay, who's going to be the fucking baseball couple in the skybox that fucks in the 7th inning in front of the window?
Hey, did you work that convention? And if it wasn't Philly, it was outside of Philly. Was it the Ben Salem Bash where a couple started going at it in a room overlooking the actual wrestling event?
I must not have been there. But see, if I was out at the ring, I wouldn't have had my glasses on anyway. So I'd have been pissed because I'd hear that I'd missed it. I don't remember that. I have no recollection of that.
Was it in fact you?
No, I was at the ring the whole time. Anyway, you may not smoke or appear to smoke any substance, which includes making any gestures imitating smoking. If you appear to be intoxicated or otherwise under the influence of alcohol, drugs, or other substances, we can to terminate or refuse participation. You may not say or do anything during your participation in the Thunderdome, whether or not you're appearing on the broadcast at the time, that in the sole discretion of WWE constitutes a political statement or endorsement, is or could reasonably considered offensive, obscene, discriminatory, or distasteful, including without limitation, this looks like some of McDivitt's work, making or appearing to make any obscene or lewd gestures, or saying or appearing to say any obscene or lewd words or statements, including without limitation, cursing. If you are violent in any way, disparage or reflect adversely the WWE or its athlete sponsors or affiliates, they do a good enough job of that themselves, promotes, infringes, or violates the rights of any third party, or promotes the brand of any third party. Your attire must be appropriate and must remain on at all times. Well, I'm used to going to these live events where once you go into the building dressed, you can fucking strip down buck naked if you want to. I would have never thought I should keep my clothes on at all times in the show. If you're not appropriately attired, you're done. Immoral graphics, images, text, political statements, slogans, logos, images, graphics, commercial identification of third parties, officially licensed. Well, you're fucking done. Don't do any of that. Wear a goddamn plain white shirt and a fucking pair of baggy pants.
I'd be afraid to move.
The environment and background you are in must also be appropriate. It may not depict logos, graphics, images, other commercial identifications of non-WWE parties, including, without limitation, signs or product placements, immoral graphics, images or text, political statements, slogans, logos, images, texts, or graphics. You're done.
What's an immoral graphic?
Well, fuck you. By participating in the Thunderdome and inputting your name below, you for 7,000 words, you give them the right to use your likeness forever, to not have any complaint in anything that they ever do to you. Give up your firstborn child. Vince McMahon will come and sodomize your Cocker Spaniel in the front yard. And if you choose to allow a minor to appear in the Thunderdome, you're certifying that you're the parent or legal guardian of that minor and agreeing to these terms on behalf of the minor. So if little Johnny Dumbfuck, 5 years old, flips the finger, you're going to jail, motherfucker. By participating in the Thunderdome, you assume all risks incident to participation while you're sitting there in front of a plain white wall wearing a plain white shirt and plain baggy pants, and a fucking picture falls off the wall and hits you over the head and gives you brain damage. It's not their fault. You also agree to indemnify and hold harmless the WWE, its licensees, successors, and assigns, parent corporations, subsidiaries, affiliates, and their respective officers, directors, shareholders, employees, advisors, insurers, representatives, advertisers, and broadcasters from any and all actions, suits, fines, penalties, and claims brought by anyone, including, without limitation, fines imposed by governmental agencies. As a result of your behavior, attire, statements, actions, or environment during your participation in the Thunderdome. This sounds like the safest, most sanitized Thunderdome. The boy that lived in the fucking bubble had it rougher than these people could possibly. There can be no danger. And you will also reimburse all such parties for any costs and expenses, including, without limitation, attorney's fees incurred in defending such actions. So if you fuck up in any way, they're gonna sue you.
Well, I can't wait. What a great publicity campaign that'll be. Wrestling fans sued by WWE for immoral behavior in the Thunderdome.
It doesn't sound like anything's allowed in the Thunderdome. Local law obligations. I've never heard that phrase even in local law obligations may restrict the ability of WWE to limit its and other persons' liability to you and to impose liability on you to them. If you are resident outside of the United States, sections 10 and 11 only apply to the extent permitted by local law obligations. And if local law obligations do not allow such provisions in certain circumstances, then they will not apply in those circumstances. Well, that makes sense. Outside of the United States, WWE acknowledges that there are certain I could read this all day. Mandatory local rights and laws, including without limitation in respect of unfair consumer terms, which may not be excluded, restricted, or modified, or may only be limited to a certain extent, parentheses, local law obligations. Nothing in these terms excludes, restricts, or modifies the local law obligations, except as permitted by such laws. And in capital letters down at the bottom, and I haven't even read all of it, folks.
This is ridiculous.
Violation or non-compliance with any of these terms, as determined in our sole discretion, will result in immediate removal from and termination of your participation in WWE ThunderDome and may result in additional penalties.
Fuck you.
I don't know if
you want to kick me out of your Thunderdome? That's fine. What penalties? Because you've decided that I don't behave well enough for the Thunderdome.
I'm telling you, this is a big risk, and I'm not prepared to take. I'm gonna just sit at home and read a book rather than being in the Thunderdome. It sounds dangerous, not to the wrestlers, but to the fans.
That's right. We're about 6 weeks away from AEW introducing the Lightning Shack.
The Lightning Shack. Wait a minute. We should do a match named Lightning Shack, and they should play the Love Shack. And Rocky Ramone. It's the Lightning Shack, baby.
I hate that song. I hate that song.
You hate that song?
I hate Love Shack. I like the B-52 is just fine.
Say it a little louder.
That song sucks. I'll say that a little louder. Hey, let me ask you, when you were a kid, 12-year-old Jimmy Cornette.
Yes.
Loving wrestling.
Yes.
If you told your mom you wanted to participate in the Thunderdome and showed her this document, what would she say?
She wouldn't have got past the first fucking whereas and heretofore before she said, Jimmy, you're not doing anything about this. Oh, no. Everybody's going to want to get on TV just to be a wise ass anyway. I don't know how they're going to fucking, mediate all of this behavior and everything anyway. Somebody's going to Baba Booey them, but what the fuck? That sounds like a barrel of fun for me to participate in. For heaven's sake. You know what? The only thing... Go ahead.
Someone's going to slip an AEW t-shirt on and get that on there, and they're going to flip out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I can see that coming. Or somebody's going to smoke something or remove their unlicensed attire or whatever. The only thing that it didn't say was if you're in the Thunderdome and one of the wrestlers knocks you down, you can't sue.
You think you're allowed to eat popcorn? I mean, if you're seen on the Thunderdome camera on your Thunderdome device using exclusive Thunderdome technology that you're not allowed to sue for if it destroys all of your Thunderdome devices. Can you eat popcorn? Can you have a snack like you're actually in the arena?
I would think you would be able to do everything that you would be able to do in the arena. So, because you're in a fucking arena.
Like, what do they want? Do they just want people to sit there and
so? But now that's the thing. Now is they've got to make it so that one of the fans, one of the guys takes a bump out of the ring, the other guy goes to do the dive. Every match, and the guy overshoots the fucking guy on the dive. Every match, but when he bursts through the fucking plexiglass, suddenly at home, one of the fucking wrestlers lands in the fucking lap of the fan, and you see that on the air. Now that will get a lot of people to want to be in the Thunderdome.
Immoral behavior.
And if you are struck by a flying wrestler and we're going to watch SmackDown and we're going to talk about that on one of the marathon shows we're going to be doing coming up. We got TakeOver coming up. We got AEW on Saturday night coming up. We got SummerSlam coming up. The next few experiences and drive-thrus are going to be painful for us, entertaining for you guys. But if you do get one of those wrestlers in your lap at the Thunderdome, that could hurt. It could hurt. It could leave you stiff and sore and not feeling your best. And you know what would help with that, Brian?
Omax Cryo Freeze.
That's exactly right. The Omax Cryo Freeze.